said, man, the perception of being a barber is so like you got one of two extremes, or you have two different types of extremes. You have the one where we're almost like the new rappers of the
Yeah,
day, where it's all this pomp and
it's
circumstance,
cool.
and
It's
yeah,
popular.
it's super cool. We in the movies now. We got cartoon movies talking about how good barbering is, or
Yep.
you got the movie Barbershop. It kind of brings a community feel, and it lets people know about the staple of barbershops in the community, and those are all like positives.
Right.
But with that positive of this clout that you can have, you got people that's out here showing their gold chains, showing all the money that they making and different things of that nature. But we're put into I don't know, it's like a diluted version of what we are. Is
Mm-hmm.
when you see all of that pomp and circumstance and people kind of like flaunting. That's not even like the professional side of barbering, but that's the glory of barbering, is all of this other stuff that really ain't real for
Right.
the majority of people. I'll say it, for the majority of barbers, that's not real life, especially if they're successful.
Right.
Welcome to the first episode of the Elevated Barbers podcast. My name is Bradford Kelly. I'm the owner of Another Level of Barber, and if you haven't checked it out, check it out. But before you go and check that out, I want you to check out my boy, the Prince, the Royal One himself. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
This is Delmar, aka the Prince. You can check me out on Instagram at THEPRVNCE. And I'm looking forward to starting this podcast, Elevated Barbers Podcast. You can also find us on IG at Elevated Barbers Podcast. So, Brad, man, this is a treat to be doing this podcast with you, man. We've been talking about this for about the past few months, and the time has arrived, and we live. So,
Yeah, we live, man, and we can't unpress record right now. So if y'all see a little jitters, some nervousness from us, that's natural, and you should
oh
get used
yeah,
to it because we're gonna
yeah,
press through it.
we gonna press
Um,
through it.
so this first episode, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We're supposed to kind of get into our pathways into barbering. How do we become barbers? Because it's the Elevated Barber podcast. We are not the only thing that are elevated. We know that this is a community of barbers that we are trying to speak to, that are having a mindset that want to be elevated and feel like they already are elevated. And so we wanted to create this community so that all of us that are thinking elevated can kind of come together and kind of listen to some of the journeys and pitfalls that me and Delmar have kind of gone through, and probably prevent yourself from going through some of the things that we've failed at, and then have some better successes than we have as well. But we are two successful barbers that have been in the game for quite some time. I think I'm going on I'm going on.
You old, bro. You are a vet.
Man, a seasoned veteran, man. I mean, seasoned. So I got into barber college in 2005, got my license in 2007. And so it's now 2023, and it's been a journey. It's been a long time. And the thing that's kind of let me know that I'm old is not the fact that I'm 37, not the fact that I got gray hair in my beard. It's the fact that I remember a child being in a booster seat, and now they've graduated high school, in college. And it's like, I'm like, what is happening in my life? What has happened in my life for me to see the transition of life? But that, I think, is a positive thing. How long have you been in the game? Let the people know.
So for me, man, it seemed like the game kind of found me. I always been around it. My dad used to always cut my hair. He would never take me to the barber shop. And one day I got in trouble. I think I was a junior in high school. I got in trouble, brought some bad grades home on my progress report, and he got mad at me. I was like, "Here you go. Here you go the clippers. I'm not cutting your hair no more." That was my punishment. So
Wait, so was he nice with the Clippers though? Like, was he already looking fresh, or was he like basic average, and then it was like you went from bad to worse?
I'm gonna just say in the nicest
Oh,
way,
he
my
might be
dad
looking
cut
at.
hair.
He might be
He
looking
might
at
be
it.
he might be watching. He might be listening. But yeah, nah, he was decent. You know, to say
He was
that
decent.
that wasn't his full time job, he was decent.
Yeah.
But man, I think I had already started seeing you cutting hair around that time because it was around the same time, '05. I was
Yeah.
17. You had just started barber college, and I was with you one summer while you was in school. And I remember the backpack days, and you going to one of the colleges or somewhere we went. You
Nah, I
took
went
me
to
with you.
Cal. I
Yeah,
went to
yeah,
Cal. For
yeah,
those that don't know, I live in the Bay Area, and
yeah. He
so
live in the Bay.
I went to Cal Berkeley, which is a prestigious college out here. Y'all know it, but they ain't
Sorry,
successful in no sports though.
it ain't LSU, but
It ain't. It ain't. I can't say nothing.
but nah, bro. Like 2005. I was 17. He gave me the Clippers. My first cut was all even. I kept it simple, and I messed myself up trying to go back and correct my cowlick. Went to school the next day. They called me Spot. So that's another story for another day. But man, I've been with the Clippers since 2005, and I went to school in 2010. For those of you who don't know, after high school, I graduated in '06. I went to college for information technology. It didn't work out for me. My first semester was cool, but my heart wasn't in school, and I got kicked out of college. Like I got put on suspension twice. Then I appealed the first time, got suspended the second time, and then the third time they expelled me. So I just told my parents, I was like, man, you know what? I don't want to go to school anymore. It's not for me. They don't know that I got expelled though. It wasn't until later on
Oh,
they
they
found
know
out that
now
I
that
got
they
kicked
watching
out.
this live. They know now. But
They would
wait a
have killed
minute.
me if
So
I'd
they
have told them that.
they suspended you, academic suspension, right?
Yep.
And then you said, "No, please don't. I want to do this." And they was just like, "All right, come on back." And then you just kept with the same behavior.
I did, man. My heart wasn't in it. And like for me in high school, it was too easy. I was one of the kids that I can go to class, fall asleep in class, wake up, pass the test with an A. That's just how I was. I didn't have any study habits. My dad used to tell me all the time, son, you need to develop study habits. And I did not listen. So when I got to college, I found out why he kept telling me that you need study habits. And it's because when you're in college, you're responsible for you. The
Yeah,
professors are not reaching out to your parents and saying, hey, look, Delmar or, Brad is not doing what he's supposed to be doing. Maybe you should motivate him. But, you really become an adult, a young adult when you're in college, and it's either you sink or swim. And I sunk more than once. But
yeah,
so that led to me wanting to go to the military. A lot of people don't know I was contemplating going to the Navy, and then I talked to somebody that I look up to. He's like a mentor to me. I won't say his name, but I talked to him. We sat down and talked, and he gave me some wise words and encouraged me to maybe pursue the barbering thing. In 2010, I actually went to cosmetology school and I finished in 2011. And it wasn't easy. I had some hardships, but I finished. I saw it all the way through. This was like one of
yeah,
the first things in my life outside of high school that I saw all the way through. I have a habit of starting things and then not really completing it, but I had something to prove not only to my parents but to myself that hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to become, and I'm giving it 110%.
yeah, yeah. I like that, man. It reminds me of my story a little bit from the standpoint of just going all in. Like
Mm-hmm.
for me, I already knew in high school that college wasn't going to be for me. Not because I didn't like learning, not because I didn't like education, but the structure of traditional college, it didn't fit the way that my brain worked. It didn't fit the way that I learned.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew already. Me and my mom, we got into many fights about just, are you going to go to college? Yes, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to college. And then when a lot of people don't know this if you don't know me, is that I was going to go into real estate. So you was about to go into IT, but I was actually going to go into real estate, and I wanted to become a real estate appraiser because in 2004, when I graduated high school, in 2005, real estate was hot,
Mm-hmm.
money was being thrown everywhere, and so I
Yeah.
wanted to catch a couple dollars if I could. And But there were certain things about me that I knew that I didn't want to do on a daily basis. And I think when you think about becoming a barber, you have to keep in mind who you are and what you're willing to do on a day-to-day basis. If you don't know that, then you can get into this industry and just like completely hate every day because you didn't know what you were signing up for.
Yep.
But for me, I knew that I did not want to deal with computers on a day-to-day basis. I'm not a computer person. I knew that I did not want anybody to put a ceiling on how much money I could make. I
Mm-hmm.
knew that I wanted to see different people on a daily basis. I didn't want to be, stuck in an office and looking at the same five people all the time. I knew that I wanted to be able to give back directly to people that I knew cared about me. I wanted to be like a direct benefit to them in some way. And I just stumbled into barbering because one of my good friends was in school to be a barber, and I had a conversation with other friends before he came back into the picture, and we were talking about having a very good wholesome community for barbers because we had seen a salon open up in the area that we stay, and it was just like a really good place. The name of that facility is called Jovant Salon and Barbering. So so I wanted to. Well, it wasn't called Jovant Salon and Barbering. It was called Jovant Salon at the time. And when I got into the barbering space, I wanted to build a barbershop that was similar to how they had that environment set up because it was just very professional. It was just very professional, very, it seemed like it welcomed everybody. Anyways, so when I decided to go into barbering, I was just like, okay, I'm going to do that based on this conversation I had with some friends in high school that was just like, man, if we could find a place like that, that would be tight. And I was just like, I'll go to school if anybody go with me, but none of my friends went with me. None. Zero of them. Even though they was all in that conversation, none of them went with me to school. So I ended up going to school with a different friend that had moved away to New York and then moved to Vegas and then came back to the Bay Area. And his name is Brandon. And so
Mm-hmm.
we went to school together in San Francisco, got my barber's license in 2007, and the rest is history. But what you said about the commitment to being a barber, it stood out because I remember a conversation I was having with my mom, and I had got into school and didn't even let her know.
Mm-hmm.
I had got into barber college. I had paid the initial tuition to get in, and I had already been in school for about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, and then we were moving or something like that. We were about to move, and she was asking me like, so what are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do with your life? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a barber. And she was like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, it was so out of the blue for her.
Right.
But I committed, man. I didn't have no plan B. I didn't have, like, real estate was plan A, and then that blew up. And then I was just like, all right, I'm gonna be a barber. And then once I got into barber college, man, it's crazy. Like, all of the boxes were checked for me. The no
Yeah.
computers, the ceiling on your income not being capped, the people that I could give back to, the fact that I didn't have to see the same people every single day. Like, all of these boxes were checked, man.
Right.
And it like made me love what I came to work for. It made me love doing this on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now it's funny that you say, your mom had the reaction when you told her you wanted to be a barber because my parents had the same reaction. And at that time, I couldn't understand it, but looking back at it now, I can because our parents are older, you know, um, and they grew up in a time where being a barber wasn't looked at as being professional. You had some other activities going on. Let's keep it 100.
Let's keep it 100.
So it would, and then the reported income. I'm not telling on nobody, but the reported income wasn't there. I'll say that. Leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah. It's
So
still like that on the internet. You go on the internet,
yeah,
man. Barbers is looking like they making $30,000 a year.
yeah. But I
If
mean,
that, that's
they know, bro. They look at social media. They can see who the big timers are.
Or
They know.
the so said big timers are. What they post is big time, but what they living with it might be different.
Yeah, that's true too. And we're gonna get into that
Factoids.
later on in the season.
Yeah,
Um,
factoids.
but yeah, my parents had the same reaction, man. But just like you had to prove to your mom, I had to prove to my parents also that, hey, look, this is what I want to do, and I'm passionate about it. This is what I love. And when you have somebody like you and I, um, just when you're passionate about something, I know we're kind of similar in that regard. When we're passionate about something, we're gonna give it our all, and you have no
Yeah,
choice but to be successful, especially if you don't have a plan B. I'm similar to you. My plan A, B, and C was to be successful in barbering. I didn't have any, other certifications behind my name. I had a high school diploma. That's it.
yeah. And that's not to knock a high school diploma or
No,
to
not at
knock that
all.
you fully committed to doing this because, like you said, man, the perception of being a barber is so like you got one of two extremes, or you have two different types of extremes. You have the one where we're almost like the new rappers of the
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
where it's all this pomp and
It's
circumstance,
cool.
and
It's
yeah,
popping.
it's super cool. We in the movies now. We got cartoon movies talking about how good barbering is, or
Yep.
you got the movie Barbershop. You know, it kind of brings the community feel, and it lets people know about the staple of barbershops in the community, and those are all like positives.
Right.
But with that positive of this clout that you can have, you got people that's out here showing their gold chains, showing all the money that they making and different things of that nature. But we're put into the, I don't know, it's like a diluted version of what we are, is when
Mm-hmm.
you see all of that pomp and circumstance and people kind of like flaunting. That's not even like the professional side of barbering, but that's the glory of barbering, is all of this other stuff that really ain't real for
Right.
the majority of people. I'll say it, for the majority of barbers, that's not real life, especially if they're successful.
Right.
And then you have the other extreme of what I call like the criminal barbers, right? Where you just out here, you doing barbering work, but you're not licensed. You don't approach it as a business. You don't approach it, and so people look
Treat it like
down.
a hustle.
Yeah, you treat it like a hustle, and people look down on both of those points of view. Both of those points of view are don't scream success, like to the mainstream world. Like you look at like you look at the rappers of this world, and they're not looked at by Fortune 500 companies as successful, but they looked at as tools for their themselves to be successful. This is like,
Mhm.
okay, a lot of people are following them, let's get them to be on this product, and then we can use them to make us some money because people like the what they talking about or whatever. But you don't see yourself as a business, you don't operate like a business, and therefore people are taking advantage of you, and therefore you are still continuously working, and you're gonna have to keep working because you don't know how to separate yourself from that circle. So
Become puppets on the string.
yeah, yeah, you end up being a puppet at the end of the day. So it's just a situation that I find ourselves in, that I find the industry in. It's like man, like are we gonna get out of this, or are we kind of do we have to just be the anomalies, like the ones that are acting professional? And acting professional don't mean that you doing facials or whatever. It's
Right.
just that you conduct business in a way that
Professional
allows
manner.
people to respect you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
So what
always
is
say,
the
man, people always say clients won't respect your business until you respect your business. So
yeah
that means setting boundaries. That means, having a booking site, whatever. Just don't think about yourself as a barber. Think about yourself as a business. So you look at a place like McDonald's. McDonald's has been successful for years. Yeah, I know, nasty, terrible, but Mc,
unhealthy?
yeah, very unhealthy. But regardless of all that, McDonald's has been a multi-billion-dollar company for years,
Yeah,
and they're successful year in and year out. Why? It's because they set a precedent with their standards, uh, or lack thereof. But needless to say, they set goals. They do things in a professional manner from the top down,
yeah,
and it's what keeps them in business for so long because they're not looking at it as we're just serving food. We're looking at it as we're a conglomerate that people love the way they
Did
market
you
themselves.
did you watch that documentary on I think it's called The Founder? It's on
No, I haven't.
Netflix.
I haven't.
Bro, when you brought up McDonald's, it brought that back to my mind. Like they did not look at themselves as when they blew up, they weren't looking at themselves no longer as a burger
Hmm.
establishment. But that's the heart behind the origination of McDonald's is
Yep.
burgers
Yep.
and the system in which they were able to put out fast food. Like
Hmm.
that system was where they were making money. And that's
Right.
what they were getting known for. But
Yep.
what's crazy is when they got this other guy to come in there and he was trying to sell shake machines
Hmm.
when his mind was about business.
Yep.
Their minds was about the labor. The how do you get these burgers done? How do you do this? The other guy that came in and started to try and help them, he was thinking about how do we make money off of this
Yep.
stuff? Like how do we
Yep.
really take what we have and make more money? That's what business is about is how do I make more money? And the four ways that you do it is either you're going to work hard, you're going to work smart, you're going to work less, or you're not going to have to work at all for the money that you make. It's those
Yep.
four things. Either you're going to work hard for the money, you're going to work smart for the money, you're going to work less and make the money, or you ain't going to have to work at all and then still make money. And you have to figure out how to do those in your business. But my point in bringing that stuff up about the story is that what you were saying is so huge is if you don't see yourself as an owner of a business, if you see yourself as the business itself, then you will be the labor. You will be the hair cutter. You will be the person that gives the facials. You will be that. But
That's
if
right.
you learn how to step outside of that and understand that's labor, but how does this thing make money?
Yep.
If you look at the generation of money, then you can separate yourself and understand like, okay, this is how I can, this is where I work hard.
Hmm.
This is how I can start to work smart. This is where I could work less and make more. And this is where I can make money without having to work at all. You start to see those things. But when you don't, when you in the labor, when you in the mix of it, you can't see it. It's like being in a basketball game and the pressure is high.
Hmm.
If you're not a coach, you're gonna get caught up in the confusion
Yep.
of the screens and trying to dribble through crowds and stuff. But it's gonna come from you being able to step outside of that. So I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you a quick question to really poke your brain in what you said. What are some principles that you have learned about being a professional barber? Like, how would you describe that?
To me, so I think I have to go back to 2011, and I really appreciate you, the team at Javant's. It was Javant's. Was it Javant's Beauty at the time?
Yeah, Jovan's Beauty and Wellness.
Okay, so Javant's Beauty and Wellness and Mr. Michael E. Parker for allowing me to intern there because straight out of cosmetology school, the cosmetology school I went to was they uh, they punched it into our brain professionalism, professionalism. And when I got to Jovance, it was still the same thing, professionalism, professionalism. I never been in a barbershop atmosphere that wasn't professional. Like my first time in the barbershop was coming to intern with you and
Hmm.
coming to see what you were doing. And I saw how you were structured, and it's even times 10 now. Guys, Brad is, I'll just say he's phenomenal. He's a big reason why I became a barber. But my time there, it allowed me to see what professionalism looks like, especially as being a young black barber slash entrepreneur. Just, let's keep it real. We don't have that title of being professional as young black barbers. It's not there. We
Yeah,
don't get looked at as that.
that's not a
And
stereotype that we have.
no.
Yeah,
So and I looked at you and how you carried your business, and you changed the way that I thought about a a young black barber. And I took everything within me those 2 months that I was there, I took everything back home, and I said, you know what, I want to at least find an environment where I can, use these same principles of being professional. Or if not, I have to do what I got to do, work somewhere until I get to the point where I can own my own establishment and become a professional barber, or have that standard in my career. So, and like you said, it's not being professional is not dressing up in a suit every day or doing facials and this, that, and the third, but it's really your mannerisms, your energy that you bring to work. You can't bring home, or we all go through things, but you can't bring that to work with you. When I touch that parking lot, not even the door, when I touch the parking lot, matter of fact, when I get in my vehicle and drive to work, everything that I'm thinking about is left behind me. I leave it at home
Yeah.
because I don't want to bring that energy, in front of my clients, in front of the people that I work around. And then two, just how you treat people, man. Like I worked in customer service for a long time before I even became a barber. So I worked at Walmart. So they're big at that time. They were real big on customer service, and just learning that from there, and then being a part of Javant's team, and just having some good people around me. I know that you have to treat people with kindness, respect. You have to be patient with people. If you're in
Mhm.
any business service industry, you have to have patience, because I don't know what my client, my 9 o'clock appointment went through before he came to his appointment. I don't know what, my people throughout the day are going through in their personal lives, right?
Yeah.
So it's up to me to not add on to that. It's up to me that when they see me, when they make an appointment with me, it's not just about a haircut. You know, we can talk. I can take your mind, help you take your mind off of whatever you're dealing with. We can just have good, clean conversation um, in a professional environment. So when I look at being a professional barber, I look at everything. How would I like to be treated? When if I'm going into somebody else's establishment, you know, um, just everything, man. Just having that standard and respecting your business.
Yeah.
Like I said before earlier when we was having the conversation, whatever type of clientele you have, they won't respect your business if you don't respect your business. And
Yeah.
that means you have to set standards in play, and you have to abide by those standards. Do you go by the book every single time? No, because every situation is different. But for the most part, you should go by the book so that everybody can fall in line with what you're trying to implement with your business.
Yeah.
So that's what I got on that. What about you?
Nah, I think that what you said is a gold. I hope a lot of people was able to take heed to that. One of the things that I think is key about professionalism is doing what you say you're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that, that's step one to
Yep.
professionalism. Because what you require of others, you have to hold yourself to the same accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say do what you say you're gonna do, if you don't promise anything, nobody has anything to expect from you. And if they don't have anything to expect from you, then you can't expect anything from them. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't. It's impossible for you to fairly expect anything from them when they can't expect anything from you. So you have to be the first and almost like the leader of the life that you want to have. And if
Mm-hmm.
you want people to respect you, then you have to give respect. You have to understand how to do that. And another thing about professionalism, outside of, or not outside of, but alongside with doing what you say you're going to do, another thing about professionalism is you being able to provide predictability. Like that, it goes with doing what you say you're going to do. But if a person can predict or expect something from you because of how you structure your business, that is what allows people to, like you said, fall in line, or to be able to, even to be able to appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be appreciated if you don't ever acknowledge what you want them to see.
Right.
If you know what I mean, like it's almost if you were in a relationship with someone and they could, you always was like, hey, I'm gonna pick you up at such and such time. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
pick you up for this date. I'm gonna pick you up for this. And then you never show up, or you always are late doing it. or whatever, they're going to start to expect that behavior from you, and then eventually they won't want to be with you no more, because it's like, you never even take me out, you
Right.
know. And so that is what professionalism, to me, those are like two small areas of professionalism. That's a big topic, but simply put, if you can do what you say you're going to do, and then you can also cause like an expectation in your client's mind based on your consistent behavior, that's gonna help you when it comes to being professional.
I agree with that. So, sticking in that same vein, what would you say are the pros and cons to being a barber? Or let's arrange the question like this: what would you say are the pros and cons to being a professional barber?
All right, so that's a very big difference. Professional barber versus just a barber.
Right.
Because of the stereotypes, though. It's because of the stereotypes, and I call them criminals, man. Those garage barbers with no license, they bother me, man. Because in reality, no, in reality, like, you really dilute the perception of barbering. Like, you
Mhm.
dilute it when you approach it from just a
Hustle.
unprofessional way. Yeah, that's how I could say it. And that's the like the difference between you take like the NBA and then you take and one,
Mhm.
right? It's just completely, it's the same game. We're playing the same game, but the structures are so different and the pay is so different because the expectation is so different and
Right.
because the results are so different. Like, they're getting away with all kind of travels, all kind of double dribbles, all kind of like, I mean, even the NBA is getting worse in regards to those calls, but there's like a certain standard that the NBA has that mixtape and one mixtape don't got.
Right.
And therefore they can't charge high prices. They can't scale because the structure isn't there for them to scale. It's too much. They're built on sand. Like, it's too much variables for them to be able to grow.
Mhm.
So when it comes to like the pros and cons of being a professional barber, the first thing is you will make more money.
Right.
Like, just straight up. If you do the things necessary to become professional, and some simple things to become professional is like those two things that I mentioned before, but simply taking appointments, that's like a basic thing that everybody can do for free, if not cheap, is take appointments so that you can structure how people can get in with you. You can structure how how much of a demand is on your time. That's step one. Then it comes into other things, and I'm not gonna like hold no class or nothing like that, but I think one of the biggest pros of being a professional barber is you will actually make more money. You
Mhm.
will actually be able to have more free time. You'll also be able to attract the clients that you want
Mhm.
versus just having people come to you.
Mhm.
And I think lastly is just being a pro to being a professional barber is the relationships that you have with your clients will become, how do I say it? You'll be able to retain more clientele if you're
Mhm.
professional. So all of those lead back to that number one thing is you'll make more money, but the relationships you'll find are a lot better, higher quality than if you were unprofessional.
What What would you say the cons are?
The cons is you gonna be broke. The cons are is that you'll be overworked, you'll be burnt out, you'll feel underappreciated for your skill set. Um you'll feel a sense of, I'll say, regret towards the industry. You
Mhm.
won't feel, you won't see a healthy future. Like, we all get into this industry, and especially because of Instagram and social media of today, you see all of this hype. You see
Mhm.
all of this, thousands of barbers. I don't know if it's thousands of barbers, but you
It
see a
might
lot of
be.
I mean, when I say thousands of barbers, I'm specifically talking about promoting $100 haircuts,
Mm.
right? Like you talking about $100 haircuts, and young barbers get into this industry and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, that's what I'm trying to do. Like I'm trying to get $100 a head. And like it's very possible. It's very, very possible. But if that's your goal and you're starting off, you're gonna be super frustrated like
Mm-hmm.
fast because your expectation isn't correct for where you're at. And that is, and you might be approaching it from an unprofessional standpoint, because a lot of times the people that are saying these things about becoming $100 haircut, $100 barber, and all of this stuff, or charging more than that, they are not looking at it from a professional mindset.
No.
They're looking at it from a hustle mindset. They're looking
Yep.
at it from a get rich quick mindset. And that is what hinders a lot of the younger barbers coming up, is because they're looking at these people because they're popular as examples, but then they don't understand any of the business that has allowed that person to even get to where they are. And they might not even really be doing that for their main money.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what's crazy. A person that charges $500 and getting on planes and different things of that nature and flying and cutting celebrities, they're not surviving off of barbering.
Mm-hmm.
They're surviving off the fact that you paid for their class.
Yep.
And so that's the difference. And people don't really understand that. They like, man, how do I do this so that I could do what you're doing? And what they're doing is selling you the dream of what they're doing. And yet you can't do what you are signed up for. You can't be the barber that you want to be because you're trying to be this whatever. And
Yep.
so it kind of messes with you. And that, I think, are some of the cons of being unprofessional, is you can fall for a lot of different gimmicks that are happening where you'll end up losing some of the money that you're making because you're trying to be something you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big con. When you need money and you want money, because in the barbering space, you're gonna have to fight for it. It's not like you ain't gonna physically knock somebody up or nothing like that, but you're gonna have to put effort into your own growth.
Yep.
But the way that it's promoted, I mean, Delmar, you seen it, you see it on IG a lot. The
Mm-hmm.
way that barbering is promoted, it does not show the reality of the work and the effort necessary to become successful.
It's a
It just
highlight
doesn't
reel.
show it. It's a
It's a
highlight
highlight.
reel. Yeah, you're looking at top 10 highlights, ESPN, dun up,
Yeah.
dun up.
And that's what's with young guys coming in, guys and girls coming in. You look at the barbers that are sponsored by, Wall, Andes, Gamma, Stylecraft, these different clipper brands, and they're showing you the highlights. They're showing you, 20 years in. They're not showing you what it took for them to get there. They're showing you 20 years in. They're making residual income, passive income off of something else. Barbering, like you said, is no longer their main thing. That's why they can charge 100 plus for a cut or a service. And then, you get young people, they see this and they're like, man, I want to be like him.
Like today. Like I
Yeah,
want to be
today,
like
like right
today.
now. Like when I start tomorrow, I got my
Yeah,
license. When I start tomorrow, I'm charging 100 off
yeah,
the rip. And
yeah.
that's just not realistic. One, like, bro, nobody's gonna pay you $100 to sit in your chair fresh out of school. And it possibly could happen because some people have been nice with the Clippers for years and they just went and got licensed later on. That's very possible.
Yeah,
But less likely than not, that's not the case. Two, your professionalism has to be up to par to even charge that type of money.
yeah,
It's not, people don't sit in your chair just because you can cut good. There's a lot of barbers who can cut good, do a decent job, but they lack the professionalism. So I
yeah,
think, social media, and that's going to be one of our topics later on in the season, but I think social media impacted the barbering industry in a good way because I definitely benefited from it.
yeah,
I didn't have to do word of mouth or pass out cards as much going into it, but it also hinders you because if you're a young guy, young girl getting into the game, and you're looking at all these other celebrity barbers, or the verified is a big thing now.
oh yeah,
Um,
subscription based
yeah, that's
popularity.
we'll talk about that another time. But but you look at that, and we live in a world where social media is has its pros and cons. One of the cons are we compete and compare often, and instead of you just you setting a goal for yourself, you setting your foundation, you focusing on you and not the next man or the next woman. Set the path for you. Everybody's
Yeah.
road, everybody's journey is different. But I can't focus on my goal if I'm constantly competing with 360 Jeezy or some of these other guys that's out here. I said
Yeah.
360 because he's very popular amongst even people who's not even a barber. But
Yeah.
I can't compete with that. And then you can look down on yourself and feel like, man, I'm not good enough. It's not the case. He's been doing this for years. Like, he has the popularity on Instagram. He has the popularity on YouTube. I think he has the most followers on YouTube out of any barber in the world.
Yeah. I
So,
wouldn't doubt it.
so and he's a humble guy. I had a chance to meet him at a hair show in 2019 in New Orleans. He's a humble guy. He doesn't carry himself that way. But you can look at that, look at different ones. Kenny Duncan is another successful one. He's sponsored by Andy's. You can look at those type of people and be like, man, I'll never be that. You might not be that now, but that don't mean that
Yeah.
you can't get there. You have to, take baby steps and stop trying to take these giant leaps over mountains. You have to
Yeah.
get there first, but work on your
Yep.
foundation. Those people who have to work on their foundation. If you sit down and talk with them, or they can talk with a Bradford Kelly, or they can talk with me, the Prince, I'll tell you my struggles. Like, and even still, I deal with things because I've been doing it for so long. Um, I get burnt out,
Yeah.
barber burnout, entrepreneur burnout, and that's a subject that we can talk about later on too.
Yeah.
But if you talk to somebody like you and I don't mind being vulnerable with you. I don't mind sharing my experiences, my failures. I had a lot of failures getting into this. I almost quit after I
Yeah.
got my license because it wasn't working for me as fast as I wanted it to.
Yeah.
And I had to sit back and learn to be patient. That's something I'm still learning because my mind is on 1,000.
Yeah.
I never
Yeah.
I never settle. I'm always constantly elevating. I'm always
Yeah.
focused. It's right here. I'm
There it goes a
always
little. Yeah.
focused. Yeah.
I had to search
Wrong
for it
way.
for a second.
Sorry, trying to get used to this camera, but I'm always, focused. Or you're always leveling up. You're inspiring me
Yeah.
to level up. I'm inspiring you to level up. And I think if you create a community like that where people can just be realistic about the industry and not look at the celebrity barbers or look at what's highlighted on social media, I think, and that's what this podcast is for. I think we can benefit so many people coming into this industry and be like, tell them, hey, it's okay that you're not making 90 plus a year yet. It's okay that, you're charging 25 right now.
Yeah.
That's cool. But, you have to put in the work to get there.
Yeah. And one of the things that a lot of barbers don't realize is a problem on how we typically start. And I know I fell into this trap is you don't even have a direction when you
Nope.
get into this like you
Just
get
cutting.
in, yeah, you just get in and you cut and you don't really know where you're trying to go. You just want to get rich, so to speak, or you just want to make money and you think that
Mm-hmm.
making money is through the blend or through the line, through the enhancement, through the whatever, through the service, whatever it is, and you don't see the business. You just don't.
Oh,
You haven't elevated to that place because you're so used to being a player. You can't be a coach.
no.
You can't, you don't know how to separate yourself and see the game. You can't see it. You're just in it, all in it. But that's why we have this podcast, Elevated Barbers, because the things that we've been through, D, is like you said, it's gonna help young barbers getting into the game, but it also is gonna help some of those barbers that are in our shoes too,
Mm-hmm.
that get frustrated with the fact that, man, like I still gotta grow. Like
Mm-hmm.
I still like I'm booked, but I'm unsatisfied right now with what is happening. Like I'm frustrated. How do I get past this? And that's what this podcast is to help with, is to help to elevate your mind, elevate your business. Because as barbers and as businesses, as business owners, we can always level up. Like that's
Yeah.
something that you can always do. You can always grow. So I think today was a great episode. Delmar, you tell me what you think.
No, this episode was I learned a lot more about you. And for those of you who don't know, man, Brad has been like a big brother to me since like early 2000s. I can't even put a year on it. It's just this is 20 plus years of friendship
Yeah.
and brotherhood that we've been building. And there's been summers my mom would fly me out and I would stay with him. Him and his mom. Uh, I missed
I'll
her.
come. I will come and stay with you too.
Yep. I would
Yeah.
open up my house to him, and I appreciated his mom. She was a very sweet lady. She would open up her house to me. And we got a we got he
Hold on,
know
man.
he
It
know
was
it was
about to be
coming.
a very sentimental moment, man. We was
It
about to
is,
go
but
real sentimental.
this moment that I'm about to share is very sentimental because this is one of my greatest memories of your mom, man. So
So, but in retrospect, we got to let the people know. So, me and Delmar, we really do have a deep bond for the years that we've been friends and been around each other, but also even in a deeper sense, both of us happened to lose our mothers to cancer at different
mhm.
years. And so the memories that we have of each other's like life is deep. It goes deep. And so this story that he about to share with you, it goes deep.
So it was one summer I came out and we was going to go hoop. I'm not gonna get a whole day because I remember the whole day like it was yesterday. But we was going hoop at Hilltop, 24 Fitness in Hilltop, and we was all excited. His mom was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have dinner ready for y'all when y'all get back." We was like, "Oh, cool. We gonna stop at Krispy Kreme." And at this time, Krispy Kreme had this maple glazed donut, and I was
Yes.
so mad when I got back to Louisiana that they did not have it. But
Oh
that
man.
donut was, oh man, it
That was
wasn't
the
even
best
right.
one. That was
Yeah,
the best
it
one to
was the
get.
best one.
The
Greatest
glaze
donut.
was basic. The
Yeah,
chocolate wasn't even taste like chocolate. But that
nah,
maple, oh my lord.
greatest
Mm.
donut of all time. But anyway, so we go hooping at the Hilltop gym, and then we stopped at Krispy Kreme on the way back. It's like, man, we got donuts for our dinner. Your mom, she making this fried chicken. Man, we can't wait to get to the house. So we get back like a little bit
Ooh.
past midnight. Man, we walk in the house. It was dark. Get in the kitchen. Brad turns on the kitchen light, and we both look at the pot like what happened to the chicken? So we thought maybe she might have blackened the chicken, or it was a little bit too much pepper on it. This oven roasted. I don't know what mom was trying to do.
I
And
don't know
then
either. It was
and
black as that microphone.
man, it was chocolate chicken, but the pot next to it, the pot next to it had homemade potato chips. It had homemade potato chips. Bro, all I remember was we both was on the floor crying, laughing because it was so funny. It's like, man, we worked up an appetite and we got home to some blackened chicken and homemade potato chips.
But
But the
man, it was
chicken was
so
good though.
crazy. The chicken was delicious. It didn't look delicious at
Nah,
all, but it was.
it was
But the
good.
thing that is so funny to me, like when you keep saying that, every time you talk about it, man, in my head, she made French fries. I'm like, why was the
Nah,
chips
bro.
so thick? Like, why was they so thick?
I don't know if she was trying to make potato wedges, but they wasn't
Man,
wedges and they wasn't fries, bro. They was them things was chipping.
it was medallions, huh? Like potato medallions.
Man,
That
but
was great, man.
real quick before we head out, rapid fire. So we gonna do this at the end of each episode, rapid fire. So give me three things, or give the viewers three things that you wish you had done differently going into your career.
I think I would have not looked at it as a career. I
Mm,
wish I would have looked at it and understood that I owned a business upon the fact that I got my license. Like once you get your license, you're an entrepreneur.
mm,
It's on you if you're going to own a business or not. And owning a business doesn't mean own a barbershop. It means owning your future. You are
mm,
the business, right? You run the business of you. You are a CEO of your own life. And if you saw that for really what it is, like when you get your license, you are an entrepreneur. then you would probably think differently about how you approach making the money because you realize this is all you're going to do to live off of and sustain your family. I think that's number one. I wish I would have known that. Number two, uh, I think I wish I would have understood the power of client retention. I didn't realize that till I moved from my first barbershop and moved to a different location, and then only 4 people followed me, but yet everybody loved me while I was there. I was like, oh man. So I didn't understand what client retention was and strategies about how to do that. I didn't have none of that. So I wish I would have known that. And then thirdly, I would have wished that I knew how to attract the clients that I wanted. But even more than that is identifying the types of clients that I had. If I understood the different types of clients that all of us have, we got casual clients, we got charismatic clients, we got consistent clients, and then we got our champs. If I were conscious about those, I would have been able to make better moves as an entrepreneur. I would have been able to make better moves because understanding people, understanding the types of people allow you to change, shift, and make more money quicker than if you don't know what you're doing and you're shooting in the dark.
Right.
Now, what about you? I hope you get to get the rapid fire as well, because that was totally off guard. I didn't know what was about to happen.
Yeah, sometimes we sometimes we gonna go off script, man. We gotta improv.
I ain't
But
mad at that. It's time to
no,
level up.
I stole that from a podcast that I listened to, and they do rapid fire, and it just makes the end of the episode interesting. But my three things would be, um, I completely agree with you on the first one, so I'm gonna steal your first one. Um, Two would be that I wish I had went and stuck with my first mind and did this right out of high school. And then um, three, I would have to say that just being more confident in my abilities getting into the industry. I didn't have that confidence. You know, I was confident when I was by myself, but the minute I got amongst other barbers, I lost that confidence. I was no longer the guy. It's easy to be the
Mm,
guy when you're the only one in, the environment.
yeah,
But when I got around other people, I appreciated it because it helped me to level up my skills. It helped me to level up my professionalism. And I really appreciate my learning experiences along the way. But I definitely wish that I had that confidence heading in because it not having that confidence almost broke me. It almost deterred me from pursuing this. I really wanted to give up, and I thank God that I didn't because by His grace, I ended up making a good career for myself. I started off. I started my first full year in 2012, and it was a struggle. I had 5 clients, on a consistent basis. But fast forward from 2012 to 2014, so much transpired. Me and another guy that we both know, Traven, we both became business owners at 25. I was 25 and he was 21. We became business owners in 2014 in only 2-3 years of being in the industry. And for those of you who don't know, that's very soon. That's very
yeah,
fast
that's
to
fast.
become a business owner. Like we were still puppies, like just not even just in the industry, but like just in life, bro. Like we were so young. Like you look at 25 and think it's grown. You're really not grown. You just now kind of starting to figure out life, but you still don't know what life is all about yet. And I was thrown into that, but it also helped me to grow up and mature a lot faster too. So it's been a great episode. We're
Yeah,
gonna
it
we're gonna
has.
wrap it up. We look, guys, we appreciate you taking out time in your day to, either listen to us while you're riding to work or, riding wherever you're riding to,
You
or
might be
even
cutting. You
you
might
might
be
be cutting
cutting.
and got
Yeah.
us on in the shop on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I definitely appreciate, doing this podcast with my brother Bradford Kelly. Brother, I appreciate you. This has been an honor. We have more episodes to come, more things to come. Um, and we got this experience for the first time earlier this year doing a segment for You Are CEO, me, you, and Traven. And then
Yeah.
it sprouted an idea for both of us. And I really appreciate just being able to do this with you, brother. Like,
Yeah.
it not only just for viewers' sake and getting this content out there, but even just learning more about each other on a deeper level.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Hats off to the first episode of Elevated Barbers. I appreciate you as well. Delmar, like words can't say enough, so I'm not going to try and attempt to, but you know the love is there. And for all the viewers that are listening in, we appreciate you for taking the time to listen to us, have a conversation about the beginning of barbering for us and our pathways, some of the pros and the cons of barbering, as well as what it takes to be a professional barber. Because on the next episode, I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but you got to come back and listen. So, all right, y'all.
It's the Prince. I'm out.
It's time to level up.